Shams Charania on with Pat McAfee on Friday suggesting this one, Orem, craziest offseason in the NBA. Everybody going to be
What?
team building. I know, breaking news. But I am curious how the team building's going to go and who is on the move. By the way, Windhorse backed this up on his recent pod. He basically was like, all the execs I've talked to keep saying this is the summer. Now, Giannis is obviously the biggest of moves. But what we talked about earlier in patience, I just find it interesting. I'm not saying the Knicks don't need to make a move. They clearly need to do something different. But I find it interesting that, like, instantly team that gets to the Final Four, hey, blow it up. And instead of saying, like, tweak it, maybe it's Bridges and then you keep everybody else. Or the report came out that they hated Cat because he didn't play defense. But busiest offseason, and most of the Blazer rumors are, we're the third fiddle. We're the team that's going to jump in and say, hey, we'll take your draft pick that didn't hit because we'll tell our fan base he might hit here because we're used to doing that, and we'll take the second round picks.
Still waiting for Kevin Knox to pan out as a Blazer.
Nasir Little.
Yeah.
Whether we draft him or we get him, we're always sold that, hey, he, the potential.
He was a first round pick. This is a.
It's like having a first round pick, except it's in player form.
Noah Vonleh.
Where do you think overall is Portland going to dive in and surprise us here? Because they're telling us this team's it. This team can do it. And I said this before. If you truly are buying what you're selling us, like truly, I know they're not going to do it. You should trade the 11th pick. You should be eyeing trading the 11th. If you're as good as you're claiming you are, then you're telling me you should get some stuff for the 11th pick and take that step. Because the 11th pick might be a good player and ain't going to be a good player for about 2.5 years.
I think it depends on what you're getting. I think they're open to trading the pick. I don't think that that's something they've ruled
really.
out. I have no indication that they've ruled that out.
Here's my only indication. Okay, now I have no sourcing on this. This is my indication. How many times in the short Cronin era have we heard the term rookie scale contracts?
Well, first of all, that's important. But second,
he's made that abundantly
clear. They traded the 12 or 13, whatever 14? What was the pick they traded
And
Washington
maybe
last
the
year?
worst draft in 12 years.
Yeah, that became a good player, though. Bub Carrington's a good player.
Bub Carrington is a good player. And we think Donovan Clingan might become a better player, but had an okay, I think, good start rookie season.
Yeah. But, like, if I'm the Blazers, I'm fine with them. I want them drafting the picks because I want them to hit on somebody because they still, like we talked about, don't have that center of gravity player. And, like, I know that they want to sell that they think that they do, or, like, I think the big Cronin line has been, I wouldn't put a cap on any of these guys. I wouldn't put a ceiling on them. It could be Shaden. It could be Scoot. It could be Advia. I think chances are, like, Denny Advia is still a great wingman. Like, that's what he's going to be in the NBA. Like, he, to me, is a third, maybe second best player on a really, really good team.
I think if you're talking title contender, I don't want to say title team because, like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think he's a third. I think he's a very good third. After that, like, Tamani obviously is a very good piece. I'm going to be interested to see if it's such a busy summer the way all the pundits are saying it's going to be. Is Portland going to sneak up? And the other indication, I have no indication. I think you could be right. The guy that I think is making most of the talent and talent evaluations and decisions here, because I think that front office is working in different parts. Cronin's a big numbers guy. If you told me Mike Schmitz is making most of the roster, talent decisions, I wouldn't be stunned by that. And I think if you're a Mike Schmitz, don't you get excited about having the 11th pick because you think you're going to find that diamond in the rough?
Yeah, but I also would say that I don't think the Blazers have done that in their drafts the last few years. I mean, do you think the Blazers have drafted well?
Because we don't have evidence that they actually have their two players they can tout our trades.
Right. They were picked by other teams. And so, I kind of forgive the Scoot pick because everybody would have taken Scoot there. But it is your job to know, like, is he the guy or is it Amin Thompson?
Right.
And, like, the Blazers were really high on Amin Thompson. And so, again, I don't begrudge them for that because anybody would have made that pick. But that's a miss. Shaden Sharp hasn't hit yet. Donovan Clingan probably has a bit more of a ceiling than some of these other guys. Now, I like Clingan. I think he's going to be a really good defensive player. Is he the starting center long term? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but he's a solid player in a draft that, like, had a lot of landmines. I think they did a good job of at least picking out a player who's going to contribute. But
Yeah.
other than that, like you look at like
Murray,
Chris Murray,
mm.
no. Ryan Repair, no.
Boy, people are still trying to sell us on Ryan Repair, and I'm just like, based on what?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got some talent. Like he's raw. Like you can sort of see some of like the tools.
This
And
is year 3 for him, isn't it?
it's going into year 3.
You can't get into 3-4 and be like, oh, dude, he's only like, yeah, I don't care what his age is.
Yeah.
You kind of
You can play or you can't play. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Shams Charania and Brian Windhorst both saying it's going to be an overly busy summer. Execs all around the league. Team building is going to be very interesting.
But that's going to be teams that are like trying to get off of money and trying to reconfigure their rosters.
Or teams telling themselves they can be better.
But like, where do the Blazers participate other than like this third wheel type stuff? Because our team's going to be coming in and wanting to acquire the players the Blazers want to trade.
I mean, make a ballsy move.
Outside of Anthony Simons, maybe, because he has an expiring contract. But is anybody coming in and making an offer for DeAndre Ayton? I don't see that.
They were tweeting
Jeremy
some
Grant,
celebratory things about DeAndre yesterday. I was like, oh, why would you tweet that if you're going to trade him?
Well, my indication that they weren't going to trade Robert Williams at the trade deadline was when, on like 2 days before the trade deadline, they put an Instagram post out that was like they're rooted in Rip City series, and it was about Robert Williams rooted in Rip City 2 days before the trade deadline. I was I guess he's not going.
I'd like to see him be aggressive.
Sure,
but it's really not in their nature so far.
They're in position. I think that they are in a position where the way their contracts are lined up, they have the flexibility to get involved with some stuff.
I agree with that. Yeah.
They have expiring contracts which are valuable, especially with the aprons and the what essentially functions as a hard cap now.
Right.
I think the problem is that the players that other teams are going to want to acquire are probably the players they most desperately do not want to trade. Like they do not want to. The guys with the value on their team are Denny and Tumani Kamara, and I do not think the Blazers are going to be moved off of not wanting to trade those two guys.
We have a loaded second hour of the program. Nick